And hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Let the Numbers Do the Talking. I'm Terry Shi, and together with me is Mr. Leong Sze Hian.
Hello,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yes. So apologies for last week. Last week I was not feeling well, so therefore,
Well, I was worried. I thought you kena COVID.
no. But I didn't get COVID. I was just having a bad stomach, having diarrhea. So today we do not have any guests with us. Instead, what we're gonna do is have Mr. Leong go through with us the census that was just released last week.
About 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, sorry. Oh, yeah, last week. 2 weeks ago. And we will look at the figures and have Mr. Leong dissect the table, the statistics in the tables to give a clearer picture of what the data tells us. So, without further ado, what should we be looking at first?
Okay, the census is done once every 10 years. So the previous one will be in 2010. Now, if you read the media reports on the census 2020, the current one, which was released about 2 weeks ago, there have been a lot of media reports about the census 2020, of course, because it happens only once every 10 years. And arguably, what you read in the media about, say, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 days ago, what I would say arguably are the good stuff lah. So today we will try to give some balance and talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of the census 2020. And let's start with what I would say is the most important one to most Singaporeans, which is money. We look at the household income statistics. Monthly household income from work. This one.
Okay. So,
Okay, so now I have to draw thing already, okay?
wait, give me a while. So, okay. So.
Okay, now see whether I can draw this
No,
thing.
you can't. You can't.
Okay.
Okay, now you can draw.
Now I can draw?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what's inside the circle? This is the monthly household income from work.
Okay, maybe I think it's for some people it's a bit hard. So to see, so let's zoom this in a bit.
Make it bigger. Okay.
Okay.
Can shift to the right a bit. Okay.
Yes, okay.
Then draw again.
So you're talking about this one, right?
Yeah. No employed person. Okay.
No employed.
Yeah.
This, you're talking about this
This one, correct.
this one
Yeah.
until where?
No, enough already. Stop. Can already. This one enough already.
Okay, can.
Okay. So monthly household income from work.
Yes.
Households with no employed person. That means in this household, not a single person in the household is employed lah. All right. So there were 182,445 households that had no employed person. Now, of course, the question you need to ask is, how many of these no employed person households are retiree households, and how many are unemployed households? Because basically, when a household has no employed person, generally speaking, it can only fall into two categories. Either they are retirees and therefore they are no employed person, or they are unemployed and therefore there is no employed person. But unfortunately, there is no breakdown, so we don't know how many of the 182,000 households with no employed person are retirees and how many are unemployed. Okay, let's move to the next line.
Yes.
Okay, below 1,000.
So you're talking about this.
This one below 1,000. Okay.
Okay.
Now this one you see already very sad, because there are actually 27,007 households whose monthly income is below $1,000. You're not about one person's income. We're talking about the whole household income is below $1,000. And this $1,000 is including the employer CPF contribution. Now, employee CPF contribution, 20%.
Correct.
Employer CPF contribution, 17%. Typically lah. So you add the two together, typically the total CPF contribution is 37%. So if you knock off the 37% from this below 1,000 household income, you are looking at a take-home pay of only about $600. How to survive in Singapore, the whole household, with $600 take-home pay a month?
And this is where people have to really put their mind to it, that this is not individuals.
Yeah, this is the whole household.
This is one
Now,
household.
of course, the household may have 1% or 2% or 3% or 4% or 5%. We can look at that a little later. But now let's just focus on the household income.
But I think what we could also look at, right, it's also where these people come from.
Okay. What kind of dwelling they are living in?
Yeah.
So you can see that those who are living in 1 and 2 room flats is about 6,500 of the 27,000 households. 3 room flats 7,000 plus, 4 room flats 7,000 plus, 5 room flats 3,000 plus. But of course, the thing is, since there's no breakdown into retirees and unemployed households, you really cannot figure out, looking at the type of dwelling, what is the distribution like.
By the way, before we continue, can we just make it clear whether or not a person's CPF monthly payout is considered as income?
No, because the census definition of monthly household income is from work.
I see.
So CPF income will not be counted. So you see, for example, you have a retiree household. So you look at this table and say, okay, they have no income from work, but they may have income from CPF, from the CPF monthly payout or something.
Okay. So from the data, we can see majority. Actually, it's not. There's no clear line. Majority is in the 1 to 2 room flat, 3 room flat, and 4 room flat. Whereas 5 room not so much.
But you can see that in condominiums and other apartments,
Yes.
meaning private property,
Yes.
you have about 1,900 households. 1,900 households whose income is below 1,000. Okay.
But again, they might be getting income from somewhere else.
Yeah, they may have income from CPF, from investments or whatever, Yeah.
I see. So what next?
Okay, next one, you move down to the 1,000 to 1,999 income. That means households whose income is between $1,000 and 1,999.
Yes.
Now again, this is inclusive of employer CPF contribution. So you knock off the CPF contribution, is about $2,400. Sorry, it's about 1,300 plus take home pay. Okay, yeah. So you have to ask yourself, can a household survive on take home pay of 1,300 plus, the whole household? And you look at the total, there are 70,000 people, like 70,000 households like this, So you add the 27,000 to the 70,000, you are looking at about 98,000 households whose household monthly income is below 2,000, and the take-home pay is below maybe about 1,300. Okay? Sorry, I mean 1,004 not 1,003, 1,004. Okay. Now again, like Terry says, let's look at the people who are living there.
Yes,
okay. 66,000 live in HDB flats. Okay. 2,800 live in private property. 1 and 2 room flat 17,000. 3 room flat 22,000. 4 room flat 19,000. 5 room and executive flats 8,000. Now let's move down to the next one.
Okay. So the
2,000 to 2,900.
Okay. So you're talking about this tier.
2,000. Okay. So in this group, people households that earn 2,000 to 2,999. That means less than 3,000.
Yes.
Okay. Take home pay is about just over $2,000, right? After CPF. Okay. Total 69,000. Right. Of this, 64,000 living in HDB, 4,000 in private property. 1 and 2 room flat 12,000. 3 room 21,000. 4 room 22,000. 5 room executive flats 9,000. So I think I will just stop here for a moment.
Yes.
Because of course you can go on to 4,000, 5,000 or whatever you have. But then I think it is quite sad to see that if you add up these 3 categories, you have about 167,000 households that have household income below 3,000 or take home pay, below just over 2,000.
Then you also include those people who are not
So if you add the no employed person, you're looking at
300 over 1,000 household.
you're looking at about 350,000 households, either no employed person or household income less than 3,000 or take home pay just over 2,000. But of course, we must emphasize again, the 182,000 no employed person households, we don't know how many are retirees, we don't know how many are unemployed. And of course, like Terry says, they may have income, right? All these households you see, the definition is monthly household income from work. So they may have income from CPF when they're retired, they may have income from the investments,
Yes.
or they may have
Shares
income
or
from the insurance or whatever,
Correct.
Okay, but this is purely household income from work. Now, I think at this stage, some of you must be thinking aloud. What is the meaning? What's the definition of an employed person?
Yes.
Okay, so an employed person is defined as a person who, in a week, works at least 1 hour for pay or profit. That means in a week, they work at least 1 hour for pay. Pay means working, employee.
Yes.
For profit means they are self-employed,
Yes.
right? And what do you mean by 1 hour in a week? The week is defined as the week before the person did the survey. They do the survey, right? And they count the week before the survey to register whether the person is an employed person. So I give you an example.
Yes.
Today is June 30th, right?
Yes.
So say I do the survey today, right?
Yes.
So the week before the survey will be, say, around the week of what you call 16 to 23rd June or something, no? So in that week, if I work at least 1 hour for pay or 1 hour for profit, then I'm defined as an employed person.
Right.
Okay. Now, amazing, isn't it? You were thinking, a lot of people say, you mean work 1 hour or self-employed 1 hour also counted as employed? Right. Then maybe a lot of the employed actually are, arguably not really employed, right? Because they may be earning very little or working very few hours, okay.
I just wanted to answer the question by W. Peng, who asked about the average household size of the average household, because previous on the previous table basically states basically only states the income, but it doesn't really talk about how many people make up the households.
Okay.
So
the average household size in Singapore has been shrinking in the last 10 years, right? I think 10 years ago is about 3.6, right, per household. Now I think it's about 3.3 or 3.4 is got less. But you look at this table, very interesting, okay? Now, you look at the 1 and 2 room flats, they are about 89,000, right? Now,
let us zoom in here.
Okay.
Okay.
You can draw the line. 1 and 2 room flat.
Yes.
89,000.
Okay. Then I should just.
So actually, the 1 and 2 room flats have increased a lot in the last 10 years. 10 years ago, the number of 1 and 2 room flats were, if I remember correctly, around maybe 50,000. So it has increased to about 89,000 now. Okay. Now, what is most startling? You say, okay 1 room flat. How many people stay in a 1 room flat, right?
Yes.
Because 1 room flat is actually the room and everything is in the same room, right?
Yes.
2 room flat only have 1 bedroom, right? Now look at this, okay. 1 and 2 room flat with 1 person living, 37,000.
Yes.
2 person, 28,000. 3 person, 12,000. 4 persons, 6,000. 5 person, 3,000. 6 persons, 1,003. 7 persons, 600 plus, and 8 or more persons for about 500. So can you imagine there are actually 1 and 2 room flats where there are 8 or more people living inside? Okay,
Yes.
right, 500. Right, 7 persons living in the 1 or 2 room flat with 1 bedroom, 600 old people.
Can you give a bit of perspective?
Okay.
How big is a 2 room flat? Typically.
I don't have the exact number, but 2 room flat actually have one bedroom. one bedroom.
Yes, one bedroom.
Yeah, and a living room.
I wouldn't say the living room. It's just
Okay, yeah, it's just another room lah.
yeah, it's
And a
just,
one-room flat is everything is all together.
Yes, and the
yeah,
toilet.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So can you imagine how they how how they sleep?
how they manage to squeeze,
or you know, like got children who are studying or whatever, you know,
Yes,
or how they share the toilet, you know, right? You know,
Right.
when you see there are actually so many one and two room flats, they have so many. I would say lah, roughly speaking lah. I mean, if you have four or more persons in a one or two room flat, I think very cramped already, you know, right? So if you just look at four or more persons,
that's about 11,000.
they're about 11,000 out of the 88,000.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's another very interesting figure I share with you. Somebody asked me, okay, so one room flat, you have different races staying in one and two room flats, right?
I see.
So have they increased from the 10 years ago, the last census? The answer is yes. The number of people living in one and two room flats have increased for all the major races. Okay, and the one that increased the most is for Malays who have almost doubled the number of Malays living in one and two room flats in the last 10 years. The Chinese, the Indian also increased but not as much as the Malays.
So Helen is helping us with the data. The one room flat is about 35 to 39 square meter feet. Square meter, and the two room flats are 45 square meter.
Oh, very good, all your listeners, 有求必应, whatever we ask, somebody will come out with the statistics. Thank you very much. Keep it up.
Thanks, Alan. Yes. Yes, and
okay, so
yeah,
let's where were we just now? We're talking about household income.
we've talked about household income. This is the average household.
Household dwelling, the number of people.
People,
okay. Let's go to number of employed persons per in household.
You know, the problem with all these tables, right, is that they actually tell a lot. But the problem is because they are not particularized. Therefore, even if you try to make sense of how they intersect, like in this case, the number of employed versus the household income. So, you get what I mean? So for example, when you talk about household income, it should be broke down even further to state, okay, for this particular household, in this much, how many people are working? So
this is where we are coming to, right? Number of employed persons in household.
Correct. But we don't know how so in this case, like 2 person being employed, how much do they earn, rough, on the scale?
How much do they?
So there's the lack of the intersect. Because unless you have the raw data, if not, you're unable to plot that.
I mean, all we can tell looking at this table,
32.
right, is that out of the 1.4 million households or so, about 1.1 million are staying in HDB flats.
Yes.
The other 300,000 are private property lah. Okay. Then
290 about.
Yeah. So if you look at those staying in one and two room flats, right?
Oh, but sorry. Let me cut this.
Now, there are 89,000 households staying in one and two room flats. Okay. Households in one and two room flats with no employed person is about 33,000. Okay. One employed person, 40,000. Two employed persons, 13,000. Three employed persons, 2,400. So what's interesting is, right? You see, you have households where there are actually 3 employed persons living in the one and two room flat, no? Right? And there are about 2,400 of them.
So we know that they are not kids.
So this is excluding the. That's why you remember the earlier table we show you.
Yes.
There are like 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people, right? Those are including the people who are not employed, children or parents or grandparents. This one only tell you the those people who are employed.
Right.
Okay. So now if you look at the three room flats, there are about 240,000 households in 3 room flats. Okay. 48,000 has no employed person at all. So how many of these are retirees? We don't know. How many of these are unemployed households? We don't know. Okay. Now, 103,000, which is a lot, right? 103,000, right, is a lot, relatively, staying in 3-room flats, who only have one employed person there. So, of course, most people have the general perception that, most households, 2-person work, right? Husband and wife, right?
Correct.
But here you can see, in the 3-room flat households, there are actually 103,000 households where only one employed person there. Now, like Terry was saying, how do we try to interject the different tables?
Yeah,
So
intersect
one way of looking at it is this. Okay, you have 103,000 3-room flat households with one employed person. And then earlier on you saw that, you have 167,000 households with income less than, say, just over 2,000 take-home pay. Right? So
You mean just on this
so
one, is
you
it?
got to ask yourself, how many of these one-person employed household actually are low-income households?
So we are talking about
You see, one employed household could be, the one person employed could be earning a lot of money, he could earning very little money. Right? Wait, just stop this one. I want to share with you another very interesting statistic.
Yes.
And this one is about inequality in Singapore. Okay?
On what basis?
You look at the bottom. 20,000 and over monthly income households.
Yes.
They are about 191,000.
Yes.
So, can you imagine in Singapore,
there's
the number of... sorry, Terry?
Because if you look based on this, right, you see there's a like a very hard
big jump. Very big jump. So you see, the inequality is so great in Singapore that the households that earn over 20,000 a month, 191,000, you actually more than the total number of households at 167,000 that earn less than 3,000 a month. In other words, the people that earn over 20,000 is actually about 20,000 more than the people who earn less than 3,000 a month. So this is a indication of how great the inequality is, right? Wow, there are more rich people than the the poor people in a sense.
But of course, people would say that it's a fair thing. There are people who
okay, one way to measure inequality,
Yes.
like Gini and all that, is to look at the gap between the rich and the poor. So this is a clear example where those
especially based on income.
So this is a clear example. You can see those who earn a lot actually is more than the people who earn a little.
Okay. Can. So
okay, let's look at some of the questions right.
no question so far.
No questions. Why?
Have you looked through the latest budget? There's no budget, right? Because now is
no, budget normally in February one. So now it's
June.
Yeah.
so budget already over already much.
Okay, let's look at the.
Yes.
Okay, let's scroll down a bit.
How about the age? People who earn.
Okay. Let's look at the age.
Oh, sorry. This is the age of the labor force.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now this one not households.
This
one is
individual.
individuals.
Yes.
Labor force. Age 15 and over by age group. Okay, let's look. Now, the total in the workforce is about 2.3 million.
Yes.
In fact, I just calculated the proportion of the workforce, so I can give it to you. This is as of end March, right? As of end March, about 44.5% of the total workforce are non-Singaporeans. 44.5% are non-Singaporeans. Non-Singaporeans meaning foreigners and PRs.
So this 44.5%
5% of the total workforce.
of 2.3 million.
No. 2.3 million is only the resident workforce.
Yes,
the
correct.
total workforce is 3 over million.
This resident does not include
Not foreigners.
foreigners.
Yeah.
This is Singaporeans and PRs.
Correct, yeah. But I've done the calculations and I explained to you how I derived the estimates a little later. 44.5% of the total workforce in March, end March, is non-Singaporean. Okay.
Yes.
So, what percentage do the PRs and the foreigners, in this 44.5%? It's about slightly less than 10% are PRs of the total workforce, and slightly more than 34% are foreigners. So you add the PR slightly less than 10%,
Yes.
and the foreigners slightly over 34%, you get 44.5% in the total workforce who are non-Singaporean and March. Now, earlier I mentioned the labor reports and the statistics do not break down the residents into the PRs and the citizens. So I have to derive it. How do I derive it? Quite simple. Now, they do publish what they call, the MOM publishes the unemployment statistical tables. So in this table, they actually break down the resident workforce into PRs and, sorry, not PRs. They break down the total workforce into citizens, residents, which includes PRs, and overall. Overall means including foreigners as well.
Yes.
Now, this table, the unemployment statistical tables, gives you the number of unemployed as well as the unemployment rate. So you can see on this table, overall, how many unemployed, what's the unemployment rate for the overall? Overall, what is the resident number of unemployed? What is the unemployment rate for residents? And finally, how many citizens unemployed, and what is the unemployment rate for citizens? Okay.
This MOM statistics,
So quite easy. You take the number of unemployed, you divide by the unemployment rate, you get the total number of workers. So from this, you can actually derive estimate of the number of PRs, number of foreigners. The citizens one, of course, okay? Yeah.
No, so where do you get this particular statistics?
If you Google MOM unemployment statistical tables, you'll come out. So Terry, maybe you instant, right? MOM statistical tables. Statistical tables.
Yeah, unemployment. Okay.
Statistical unemployment, not employment. Unemployment, not this one. Just go back a bit. No, go back. This is employment. You should look at the unemployment one. You can't see from the employment table the breakdown for PRs and citizens because they don't break it down. So you have to derive it from the unemployment.
For the percentage, is it?
Unemployment. Unemployment statistical tables. Statistical tables. Statistical.
Okay, while
tables.
I'm doing this, right?
Yeah.
Someone asked whether have you looked into the the proposed plan to cool down HDB's price. Have you seen that?
Yes. Okay.
So probably
actually,
just talk about that.
okay. It's not a plan yet. It's a consultation, right?
Yes.
They're asking for suggestions as to how to cool down the price of HDB flats, particularly those in mature estates that have been selling at very high prices.
Right.
I actually wrote an article, I think about a few weeks ago, when I saw this consultation exercise.
Yes.
And I wrote an article called something, I think, like 9 suggestions to solve our HDB issues. Okay. Now, a caveat I must first say, the problem, I think, with trying to make suggestions or policy recommendations is arguably quite difficult in Singapore because a lot of the data that people need in order to crunch the numbers and make a policy recommendation or suggestion is not there. For example, we need to, but we don't know what is the breakdown of the land cost charged to the prices of BTO flats. We also need statistics like, what percentage of the HDB flats are not owned by Singaporeans, meaning PRs. We also need statistics like what percentage or how many PRs have given up their HDB flats, when they gave up the PR, or how many have not staying in Singapore but still keeping their HDB flat and renting it out. So there are a lot of statistics that if you really want to do a reasonable job of making a policy recommendation, if possible, ideally you need to have 100% transparency lah. Okay, so in my 9 suggestions for HDB, I'm just doing my best because most of the numbers that I need, I don't have. Okay.
Like what? Like what numbers?
Okay, so for example, I think my humble suggestion is a lot of the problems that we have with HDB issues today comes with what we call the affordability of HDB flats, the very high price. Okay, so one thing that we can try to do, right, is to attack this problem from the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is the high price of BTO flats. And why are BTO flats so high priced? Because it was disclosed in Parliament some years ago that the land cost is charged at market rates. You see, in the early years of HDB, the land cost was not charged at market rates, right? But of course, in recent years, they are. So one possible, policy suggestion is to gradually reduce the land cost component of BTO flat prices. Let's say it's 50% now. So you drop it to 45, and you drop to 40, and then you see the reaction of the market, you see the feedback from the people, then you figure out how fast or how slow or how gradual you want to reduce this land cost component, right? Because the thing with policy changes is like you turn one lever, many other levers will turn, right? So have to do slowly, I suggest, and we have to look at the reaction of the market and the feedback and reaction of the people. So Barry, you managed to find, good, perfect, okay.
Is it this?
Yeah, okay. So you look at the March 2021 figure, which is the second one from the bottom.
So
this one, yeah, okay. Now you can see the overall unemployment rate is 2.9%, okay, right, and the total number of unemployed overall is 106,000, okay. So if you divide 106,000 by 2.9%, you get estimate of the total workforce, okay. Now similarly, you look at resident, right, 95,500 unemployed. You divide by the unemployment rate of 4%.
Yes.
You get the total number of resident workers. So the overall minus the resident equals to the foreign workers. Okay. Now, similarly for citizen,
Yes.
85,400 unemployed as of March, seasonally adjusted. You divide by the unemployment rate of 4.2%, you get the total citizen in the workforce. And from this, you minus the resident workforce, the difference will be the number of PRs in the workforce.
So we are talking about this, right? So we have the resident.
This is the resident.
Yes.
Okay. So from what we explained earlier,
Yes.
from the unemployment statistical tables,
Yes.
we can derive an estimate of the total workforce, the resident workforce, and the citizen workforce. And of course, from this, we can derive the PR in the workforce, the foreigner in the workforce,
Roughly
and
how
the
much
citizen.
is it?
Easier for me to remember in percentage terms.
Yes, percentage, not exact figures. Yes.
The PR in the workforce is slightly less than 10%. The foreigners in the workforce is slightly more than 34%. You add the PR and the foreigners total is about 44.5% as of end March. So in other words, about 55.5% of the workforce is citizens, 44.5% are PRs and foreigners. Now, of course, a lot of people have said, every year you grant about slightly more than 20,000 new citizens. So how many of these are workers, So if you make adjustment for this, maybe the percentage of non-Singaporean in the workforce if you make adjustment for new citizen workers, maybe even higher than 44.5%. Now at this stage, I want to tell you something that puzzled me, you know, because as I analyzing the statistics, I said, hey, something looks very strange. You see, last year, we had a record contraction of about, if I remember correctly, 190 over thousand contraction in the foreign workforce. Contraction means jobs lost.
Yes.
Okay, 190 over thousand.
Due to COVID, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Okay. And then the first quarter of this year, we had job growth of about, I think, 14,000 plus. And we were told that most of the first quarter job growth were local job growth. That means PR and citizens.
This sounds weird.
Yeah, okay. So here's the mystery. If last year, the whole year, you have foreign contraction of 190 over thousand, and the first quarter, you have 14,000 plus local workforce increase, right? Then why is it come end of March, as we have just shown you, the percentage of non-Singaporean in the workforce is still arguably relatively quite high, right? At 44.5%.
Right.
You know, you would expect that if so many foreigners, job contraction, and then the growth is in
So
local, then the percentage should look a bit better, right?
When was the statistics released?
I think it was on the
For the-
17th
for the
of.
employment. Which month was it?
I don't, but I don't remember the exact date, but
Just a
this,
month, just a
but
month.
these are the latest. Okay, this one I think June.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. It's June. Sometime in June.
June last year and
This
June
year.
June this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think what people need to just basically understand is that from the table that you're seeing now, that states the unemployment rate for Singaporeans residents. So resident referring to the PRs as well. The total residents in Singapore. You can see that there is not much change.
Yeah.
Despite there having an announcement that there was 140,000 jobs created local and for local residents.
Yeah, I
Right.
think you are referring to the SG United traineeship and the job growth scheme or what, where they created about maybe 100,000 jobs. But you have to look at it in perspective. The number in these reports are what you call the net number.
Yes.
Net number means the new job created as well as the contraction,
Yes,
then
yes,
the
yes,
net
yes,
number.
yes.
Okay, so it is a bit.
It doesn't talk about new jobs.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing if I say, oh, I created 150,000 jobs, but then I may have a contraction of 190,000, no? So my net may be actually minus 40,000. See?
Okay,
Yeah.
I think what people would like to know is really from the table itself, from the unemployment rate itself, can you say that there are more jobs for locals or lesser?
Okay, on a relative basis, okay, the unemployment rate of foreigners in Singapore is about 0.8%.
Yeah.
The unemployment rate of PRs in Singapore is about 2.9%, and the unemployment rate of citizens, as you can see in this table,
Yes.
is 4.2%.
That's for
Okay.
2%. Yes.
So what is clear is that there are more, percentage-wise, proportion-wise, there are more unemployed citizens compared to unemployed PRs and unemployed citizens. At this point, let me share you another interesting thing that I found analyzing the statistics last month. The percentage of PRs in the workforce seems to be increasing, right? It used to be about 12.9% of the resident workforce were PRs. Now the latest I see that it has increased to about 15.9. You cannot see here.
You cannot
right
see
here.
here.
Yeah. So what
Where
I'm
can
saying,
you see that from?
I derived the figures by doing the calculations like what I just give an example I showed you just now. But I have done the calculations, and the estimate is that the PRs as a percentage in the resident workforce used to be around 12.9%. So it has increased to about 15.9% now
So when you say 12.9%, that was
of
when?
the resident.
No, but that was when?
A few years ago lah.
Few years ago. And then we are talking about this is 15.
15.9% as
So
March or so.
could-
But let me just continue the next line, then you see where
Okay,
I'm
sure.
coming from. Okay, what is very interesting is that while the PRs as a percentage in the resident workforce has been increasing, the number of PRs in the total population has been decreasing. Right? It used to be about 15%. Now it has dropped to about 13%. So you have a situation where the number of PRs in the population is declining, but the number of PR workers in the resident population is actually increasing.
But we have to understand that the Singapore policy has always been having the PR converted to new citizens. So it might just be that at this moment there is no more either Singapore does not approve new PR applications, or there is no application for the PRs at the moment. So at the same time, there are a lot of PRs being converted to citizens.
Yeah, every year about slightly over 20,000 new citizens are granted.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, if you, like Terry says, if you want to a clearer picture, then they must tell us how many of the PRs that they grant are actually working, or how many of the new citizens they grant are actually working. Then we know, because the moment, let's say you grant on average a year 31,000 new PRs, then those PRs who are working automatically will be redefined as part of the resident workforce.
Yep.
So unless you have this breakdown, you have the issue which many people have asked over the years, and that is, okay, fine. Let's say 2020, last year, employment growth was, I can't remember the exact figure, but it was like maybe 10, locals employment growth was like 10 over 1,000. Okay. But then the question is, okay, this is just illustrative purposes only. Let's say last year you had employment growth of 10 over 1,000. I don't have the exact number. Okay. But if last year you granted 27,000 new PRs,
Yes.
then these new PRs automatically become residents, right?
Yes.
So if let's say 60% of the new PRs are workers, which is about 10 over 1,000, then you have a situation where, okay, I have 10 over 1,000 resident growth, but I also have 10 over 1,000 foreigners converted to residents, So how many of the growth actually went to Singaporeans? We don't know.
But shouldn't we take the assumption that majority of those PRs converted to citizens are working individuals? Because can you tell of any situation other than, say, a person marrying someone of foreign
Yeah.
and
Can be
convert,
spouse, can be children, So
but other than that,
yeah, okay. So I would say a very conservative estimate, if you ask me to make a guess, is that about 60 to 70% of the new PRs granted are probably people who are working.
yeah.
And of course, going forward into the future, the balance who are not working may also be working, right? Yeah. Because as they grow older, maybe children granted PR, as they grow older, they'll become workers, then be part of the resident workforce also.
No, I don't think your children can be granted PR like that. I don't think so. You can do that.
I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
you can't. You can't.
Yeah.
Because the resident must be someone of working age.
Okay.
So those people who are so like minors, they are only granted.
Anyway, Terry, you and I shouldn't be making all these guesses. I mean,
no, but it's
if they just be transparent and break it down,
It's pure policy. It's pure policy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If you are transparent, you break it down. Talking about transparency, something very funny happened today.
What?
From today, they are no longer going to give you the COVID case, the occupation or the age or where the person work.
Correct. So we also don't know. Would we know where the clusters are from? As in where the
okay.
cases
Something
are
very
from?
strange happened today.
Yes.
Now, I understand people have been calling for a long time. Say, hey, why you never have a daily update of the number of clusters? Where they are, right? Finally, today you have from what I understand, for the first time today, 30th of June, 2021, we have for the first time a full list of the active clusters in Singapore and the number in each cluster. So the question is of course, COVID has been around for almost like 1.5 years, right?
Yes.
Why did it take so long to produce a listing of all the clusters, where they are, and how many cases? I mean, most other countries do this as a matter of fact every day. It took us 1.5 years.
No, you see, despite Singapore saying it being a smart nation, right, and the fact that it has a dengue heat heat chart, right, you could just simply use that same chart and plot out the clusters.
Yeah. I mean, this is the obvious question a lot of people ask. Every day you wake up, say, hey, where are the clusters?
Even if you read the news, right, it's actually not really clear. Because the news will only tell you what was last yesterday.
Oh, today there's a cluster there.
Yes.
Yesterday there was a cluster here or there. But there's no daily update of all the clusters. How many are active and how many cases there are.
Okay, maybe not say daily, but say accumulative.
Cumulative, correct. Yeah.
So we.
So anyway, we know lah. Now there are 38
clusters.
I think I can't remember, 34 or 38 active clusters. At the beginning of June, for the whole amount of June, there were 40 plus. So there were of the total clusters, about maybe 10 or so have become inactive. There are about 30 over active clusters now.
Okay, so let's answer some questions. Who Zhihong asked, is there any stats inside the census to talk about the rent? As in, how many Singapore families rent their flat?
Not that I am aware of. Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
No?
Okay. You see, the 1 and 2 room flats, some of it are HDB rental flats. Some of it are studio. Okay. Wow, Terry, you are super, man. Okay. Let's look at the 1 and 2 room flats. The rental is about 55,000. Okay, out of the 89,000, 55,000 are rented.
Yes.
Owner occupied is 34,000. Now, let me just make an observation on the owner occupied. Now, in the past, when you say owner occupied, it means 99-year flats.
Yes.
Now you have a lot of 30-year, 45-year flats
yes.
inside the owner occupied.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So what would this actually tell in terms of those people who are renting? Because the thing is, a lot of the PRs rent their flat. Because this is about this.
No. HDB public rental flats are only available to citizens. PR cannot rent.
Which one? No, these are the one room flat. Yes.
One room
but
HDB rental flat. Only citizens can rent.
I'm referring to those that are like the 3 room, 4 room.
Okay. 3 room, 4 room. Of course, it's open market lah. Anybody can rent.
If I'm not 2 room, also you could actually rent out.
If I'm not
the whole
mistaken,
room, the whole after you stay in the
2 room
MOP.
flats. You cannot rent out one of the rooms because it only has 1 room. Okay.
Correct.
But 2 room flats, the entire flat can be rented out.
Yes.
If you get permission from HDB.
Correct.
So maybe you have
So
some people some people actually own a private property.
Yeah.
Then they stay there. Then they rent out the 2 room flat.
Yeah. Right. So, what would this statistics tell us then? As in from this chart, because like Zhihong is asking like, how many Singaporeans are actually renting the flat? We can't tell. Right?
Okay, you can roughly about 10% of HDB flats are rented. But you see, this is when they say rented means the whole flat.
Yeah, correct.
Right. If you count all those people renting 1 room, then you don't know must be a lot. Right. It can't be 10%. 10% is the whole flat being rented out. There are no statistics as to how many people are renting part of the flat, 1 room or 2 room or whatever. Right? I understand 3 room flat you can rent out 1 room, right? 4 room flat you can rent out 2 rooms. 5 room flat you can rent out 3 rooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that explains why you have some flats that have more than 8 people.
Why you have flats with more than no. I doubt if those flats with 5, 6, 7, 8 people are any of the people inside there are actually renting a room. And possibly is
definitely for those
family.
Those people who are in the first 1 and 2 room, yes.
Okay, let me tell you something very interesting. Okay.
Yes.
My understanding is that for single mothers,
yes,
if you rent a HDB flat, you cannot get a 2 room, cannot get a 1 room. There's some policy that says that single mother are not entitled to 2-room rental, only one, you know. So it doesn't matter you have 3, 4, 5, 6 or 8 people inside the household, they don't care, you know, because you are a single mother. So of course you can appeal and, you know.
My understanding is single mother is treated as single. It's not treated as a household.
I think there's some change now. They
I think on
they
a case-by-case basis,
They
it's-
do allow single mothers
from a
to,
policy point of view, it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
a single.
So they have relaxed this a bit lah, you know. It's I wouldn't say it's easier to be a single mother when it comes to HDB issue lah, but it's much better than in the past. In the past, it's like very difficult for a single mother. You know? Yeah.
If the readers can correct if I'm not wrong, but I believe from what has been covered the past couple of years, right, it seems the policy has been always still be the same. I think there was a recent case about a single mom having a rental flat. I think the ease is probably the person don't have to find another person, because typically, let's say if we were to rent from for a single room flat, you have to find another stranger or another companion to stay in that flat. For the single mom, right, maybe this is waived off, so they can the rental can be for one room flat, need not have another individual.
Yeah. My understanding is that single mothers no longer need to you know, I mean, they don't have to find another person to rent the flat lah. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they and the children will be considered as a family nucleus.
Yes.
And I also read in the media that they are now piloting this scheme where you don't have to find a roommate, right? See, the problem with finding a roommate is the household income cap to rent a HDB flat is $1,500.
Correct.
So if your income is 1,000, you have to find somebody who earn less than $500.
I
Otherwise,
think
you
it's,
cannot join together to rent HDB public rental. So that was a big problem for a lot of people who were trying to, you know, rent HDB flats, especially in the past. But I understand now they are a bit more relaxed lah. You know, they're not as restrictive as before lah. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your someone asked about could you talk about the GNI coefficient? Why is it important?
Okay, Gini is a measure of inequality.
Correct.
Okay. There are actually two Gini measures. One is your Gini. The other one is the Gini after government transfers.
Yes.
Right. Government transfer means money that the government help you.
Correct.
And that kind of lowers your Gini.
Yes.
Right? Now a lot of people have commented that Singapore's government transfers, a lot of them are not in the form of cash.
Yeah.
And so does not really help, the amount look like a lot, you know, but for a lot of people, it may not really help them. Let me give you some example. HDB housing grant, it's not cash, right? You cannot use it, right?
Correct.
Okay. And if you are not buying a HDB flat, you don't get the grant, right? Okay. Yeah. MediSave top up. Okay. If you must go to hospital or medical treatment, they can use, right? So it doesn't help you also. Okay. Or like workfare. If you are self-employed, only 10% of your workfare is in cash. The other 90% is CPF to your MediSave account. If you are employee, 40% is cash, 60% is to your CPF accounts. So a lot of the so-called government transfers that lower the Gini with government transfers, the comment or the reaction of a lot of people over the years is that they may not really be as helpful if you just look at the ballpark number, because a lot of the transfers actually is not cash that people can use.
So we TOC, we published an article previously that was actually from a submission. So the thing here, let me see. Okay, so according to the SingStat grocery or transfer, right, that basically includes that they take into account for the calculation of the GNI coefficient, right, includes the NS50 vouchers, Pioneer Generation Package, the 8 billion handout, Skill Future Credit, baby bonus, etc.
See, let me just start this.
Yes.
Now, I mean, how can skill future credit be considered as a government transfer? Because you can't use the money, you can't use it for skills upgrading, right? You know what I mean? Huh?
Correct.
So this is a clear example of one of the so-called government transfers that lower the Gini, that actually arguably doesn't really help, lah.
So
Yeah.
So from this, you can see that the GNI coefficient that Singapore reports, I believe, is this one. Let me just adjust. Can? Okay. So
Anyway, our Gini before government transfer
Yes.
is always the second or the third worst Gini in the world, lah. In terms of inequality.
So
Every year we are fighting for second or third
which
place.
is why, if you will look at this and take note of what we covered just now, that you cannot really trust what the picture is for taking after accounting for the tax and transfer.
Yes, because most of our government transfers are not disposable income that people can use.
Yes. So, what's next?
So, any more questions?
Coefficient.
Now, a lot of people ask, how many Singaporeans in the how many Singaporeans in the resident workforce? How many how many of the households that you talk about low income are Singaporeans? The answer is don't know lah, because they don't break down the figure into PRs and Singaporeans. The only figure from what I know that is broken down into PR and Singaporean are the unemployment statistics. And that is how, as we explained earlier, we were able to derive the foreigner PR and total workforce statistics, because we have the unemployment statistics broken down into citizens. Now, we have another figure that actually has a breakdown, and this one very interesting. This is called the median income, individual median income from work. They do have a differential. They show that for citizens, and they also show that for residents. Okay. Now, in other words, every year now you can see what is the median income of residents, which includes PRs, and what is the median income of citizens. Okay. Now, from these two numbers, you can actually use algebra to solve, to figure out on the average how much higher is a PR's income relative to a citizen's income. And I can give you the number I just calculated. For last year, right, on the average, PRs earn 21% more than citizens. Now, what is interesting is, this is last year. Generally, PRs earn 21% more than citizens, but for the previous year, PRs actually earn a bit more than citizens on the average. It was about 30%, I think, if I remember correctly, right? And this has dropped to about 21% now for last year.
This is from where?
This would be median income. Median income.
Median income, Singapore
Median
household?
income.
Individual?
Just put median income, you should come out. Summary table income. Okay.
Are you referring to this?
Wait. Can you scroll up a bit? There is up. Stop. Income statistical table. I think this is the one. There's one that scroll down a bit. Gross income from work of full-time employed residents, citizens. Okay, gross income from work of full-time employed residents, and then below that you have gross monthly income from work of full-time employed citizens. So from these two, you can see what is the median. Then you can use algebra to solve. Okay, okay, this is not the one because it doesn't give the difference between the resident and the citizen. Okay. No, not this one. But anyway, because they give you the residents and give you the citizens, no. So because they give you the citizen and the resident, you can use algebra to solve for how much generally a PR earn more than the Singaporean. No? So like I said, last year is 21%, the previous year was 30 or 30 plus.
So that's derived from the data. Have you ever tried to find the figure?
What figure?
The difference between the wage, as in the median income for the.
Yeah. For last year,
Yes.
PRs generally earn 21% more than citizens. And the previous year is about 30 or 31% more than citizens.
I think before people jump into saying that wow, they're taking away the job, people have to realize also that PRs, in order to qualify as a PR, it's not like in the early 90s 20s where anyone who come in, like example Malaysian or whatever, come in say I
Yeah, it's harder to be a PR nowadays.
Yes,
The
yes.
income
So your
requirement.
income has to
yeah,
be,
it has to be at least.
so the difference comes from there, that in order to qualify as a to not qualify to have your application approved, right, you have to be of a higher tier when it comes to
Now, since you mentioned this, I also saw a very interesting change. For the last 10 years or so, the median income of citizens increased every year. But for residents, the median income increased every year, except for last year. Last year, there was a drop in the median income of residents. Why, I don't know. You know, sometimes you crunch numbers, you see the number and then you say, why?
Last year dropped.
Last year for resident median income actually dropped compared to the previous year, when every year before that it increased. And for citizen median income, every year increased, even for last year.
Where was the drop recorded?
It's not this table. It's median. Let me see. If you. Actually, I wrote an article on this one. You can go to my Facebook or not. Then you search my Facebook for. Okay, you search for 21, then the percentage in the short form. It should come out.
When do you post?
Few days ago.
So that one is about what?
Sorry, already.
Which one?
Up. This one. Here. This one, correct. Okay, so my memory not so good. Last year,
Yes.
we have calculated generally the PR's income, the median income
Yes.
is 21% higher than the Singaporeans. And the year before that, sorry, not the year before that, year before that, it was 35%. So you can see it says that the median income of full-time employed citizens, including employer CPF, has increased from 4,333 to 4,388 from June 2019 to June 2020, whereas that of residents has actually decreased from 4,563 to 4,534. Now this is an anomaly because for the past 10 or more years, every year, both the resident and the citizen income were increasing. So it's an anomaly. Last year, the resident income actually dropped. Why? I don't know. I mean, you can, for those of you who know or can make a guess, please tell us. Okay. Now, then I also show you the formula how we solve for the income of the PRs. Okay. Because now we know that the PR form 15.9% of the resident workforce, and therefore the Singaporeans form 84.1% of the resident workforce. And so simple algebra, right? 84.1% multiplied by the citizens' income plus 15.9% multiplied by the the PR's income, give you the resident's income. So you solve for PR. Answer is 5,308 lor. So you get the answer 21% more than Singaporeans. Same thing, you did it for the previous year, you end up with 35%. And it says for the last 17 years, every year the resident income increased except for last year. And for the last 17 years, every year the citizen income increased and also increased for last year. So there was a sudden
I think this
anomaly for the previous year.
but I think the point I have it hard understanding is that yes, the resident says that the residents decrease, but if you were to look at the full-time employed Singapore citizen, right, it doesn't reflect that. Right.
Okay, this table show you full-time employed citizens.
Yes.
There's another table show you full-time employed residents. So if you find that one, then you match the two.
So you see, this is the thing. The citizens, right? This is Singapore citizens. Singapore citizen shows that the median income it does not drop. Is still so 2019 is 4333.
Yeah, still rising. Yeah.
As for then in 2020 is 4388.
Correct.
So the thing is, although the resident right do show a drop, but the fact that you have that the table for the Singapore citizen not dropping, right?
Yeah.
Then what attributed to the drop?
This is the $64,000 question. You know, I mean, why is it that this sudden anomaly last year, where
could it be the PRs themselves? There are certain segment of the PRs that has a drop income, or they were unemployed, or they were
yes, possibly, yeah.
Because
these are full-time employed. So the unemployed is not inside.
Okay. So it's full-time.
So you are possibly right. Anyway, if I have to make a guess, I think one possible reason is that the quality of the PRs in terms of the income may have declined last year. When I say quality of income is normally what sort of income do PRs get, then they can become PR,
Yes.
Or what do those who already become PR, normally what is the income, right?
Correct.
So the quality of income may have declined last year. That's my guess. Okay. So any of you can figure it out or make a guess, please tell us, please help us.
Okay, one of the audience asked, is the census comprehensive enough?
Census very comprehensive one, in fact, I think today or yesterday, the Census 2020 did release 3. Release 3, I think yesterday, shows you, explain to you how they did the census. Very, very, very detailed. So census is the whole world, or even in Singapore, the methodology is quite vigorous, Yeah.
What data would have wanted to be included in the census that is not there?
Okay. If I have a Christmas wish list, how about breaking down the households with no employed person into those who are retiree households and those who are unemployed households?
So you're talking about the people who are
the 182,000 households with no employed person.
Yes.
How many of these households are retirees?
Yes.
How many are unemployed Okay. Right. So that's one. That's one. Okay. Second, of course, is why don't you further break down this to Singaporeans? Because this is residents, including PRs. Because you see, if
but you also have to consider this thing. What if the household, the wife is a PR or the wife is a Singaporean or vice versa? How would this then work?
Normally, they will take the head of the household as the. So if the head of household is a citizen, they will define it as a citizen household. If the head of household is a PR, they'll define it as a PR. I understand that is the.
So what if one is a foreigner? What if it's a
same? So I think that I think that's the methodology I believe that they use Whoever is the head of the household
But so if a household the head is a foreigner,
then it wouldn't be. I guess it may not be defined as a as a resident household. Lor.
Even though the
Because don't forget, don't forget, the definition of employed is work 1 hour for pay or
Correct.
profit.
Correct.
Okay, so let's say I'm a foreigner.
Yes.
I earn a few $1,000s a month.
Correct.
Okay, then
That's bad.
my spouse is a Singaporean.
Yes.
But she work part time for 1 hour, 2 hour a week.
Yes.
So obviously, I should be classified not as a resident household, right? Just because my wife is not a foreigner. I think if I understand correctly, the definition and methodology would use the head of household to define whether it is a foreign or resident or like we're requesting now breakdown whether it's a PR household or a Singaporean household. But overall, right? I think you know sometimes I think with numbers is don't have to dig too deep into the numbers. No, just take a ballpark picture, look at the forest and say, okay, now generally we know okay, PRs earn more than Singaporeans, okay, right? 21% last year, okay. Then we know PR's unemployment rate is lower than Singaporeans, 2.9% versus 4.2%, okay. So they earn more, the less of them who are unemployed, okay. So if they break down the number of a household, wouldn't it more likely be similar trend as well, right? So sometimes you see, I see sometimes people will postulate, they say, okay, about 1 in 10 Singaporeans earn less than 1,000 maybe, okay? I'm just giving you illustrative numbers to illustrate the concept,
Yes.
right? Sometimes people say, oh, about 1 in 10 Singaporeans earn less than 1,000, okay? 2 in 10 earn less than maybe 1,005, 3 in 10 earn less than 3,000, whatever, okay? Now, then how are these people able to tell you about 1 in 10 or 2 in 10 or 3 in 10 Singaporeans? Because there's no breakdown of the Singaporean data, okay? So I suspect or I guess the reason why they can make this statement and not be afraid of being POFMA, if I may use, you got 6 POFMA against you, right? Five, okay, right? Right? Is that they can see that generally PRs earn more, right? And therefore, it's quite safe for them to say that, the Singaporeans number is this lah. You get what I mean? You don't get it, then very hard to explain Okay, put it this way.
Yes.
If I have the resident number, I know 1 in 10 residents, let's say, earn less than 1,000. Then I can safely say 1 in 10 Singaporeans earn less than 10, right? Because generally speaking, PRs earn more than Singaporeans.
It's still highly speculative.
Yeah, of course. So the question is, why do we or anybody else need to speculate? Why can't we just be transparent and break down everything, right? Then we don't need to have this program. You can close up already, right? Let the numbers do the talking, right? If all the numbers are given, if there is transparency, there are breakdown, then no need to have let the numbers do the talking, because the numbers will actually be there. You don't have to talk about, oh, what is this number? What could it be? I don't have to, calculate what is the estimated number of PR in the workforce, because you can just simply break it down, right? Okay, next question.
There doesn't seem to be much questions following this. Is there? No.
Okay.
Is there any numbers about HDB house that are empty? Last week,
Not that I know of.
2 weeks ago.
But we do have the private property one. Yeah.
No, private property is private property. Those are that was not sold or
Yeah. We do have the private property
for
vacant statistics.
but not for
HDB.
HDB.
To the best of my knowledge, don't have.
It's not in the public market. So I joined Gilbert to visit the Chinatown area to find some of the homeless, and he pointed out that along on some of his trips, he noticed that some of the houses were empty.
I've also noticed a lot of the rental flats are not occupied.
Not occupied, but despite so, it said that some of those homeless, despite having applying for the homes, would still not would be still told that there's no vacancy.
Like Gilbert said, I mean there are a lot of people applying for HDB public rental. Then you say cannot give you. Then how come there are arguably so many that are empty? You might as well give it to them, right?
Yes, yes. And many of those who I spoke with, those people who are in due to all sorts of reasons being homeless with quote and unquote, because some of them they do own a property, just that they can't go back home, and they put as the biggest obstacle to get a house. To get the rental place, right, is that the social welfare requires them, or the HDB requires them to find a person to stay with, and it's given their circumstances, it's very hard to find someone who is in need of house, because their friends might have already a house, or they are staying with their family.
So I mean, I know I volunteered to do financial counselling for about 20 years.
Yes.
So you come across so many of these cases. So like what Terry say, it's quite funny, because the person say, I need to find another person in order to rent a public rental.
Yes.
Okay. Now, like Terry say, where am I going to find, right?
Correct.
So the HDB actually does help. I understand. They actually give you a list of people who are also looking for people. Then they ask you to contact one another, lah.
Is
right?
there?
Yeah. They used to do that. Okay.
But
So
my understanding is that
Yeah.
these
So-
homeless people are not being offered this.
yeah, but I come across a lot of cases doing financial counselling. The problem is this: you call the person, okay, then you say, okay, my income is 1,200.
Yes.
Is yours less than 300? Because if it's not less than 300, we cannot combine.
Yes.
The household income for these two person must not be over 1,500.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So at one time, I remember this person was telling me, he will go to Chinatown or whatever, and he will ask the people as he walk along the veranda.
Yeah.
Excuse
Do you need
me,
a house?
do you need to rent together? We can talk.
Yes.
I remember one year, I spent a day helping an international newswire TV program do a documentary about homelessness and elderly poor in Singapore. Okay, so I brought them to like Chinatown. At that time, in the evening around 4-5 o'clock, you can see all the elderly people coming to sell their cardboards and their empty tin cans. So of course they are journalists. They interview a lot of the people who came, and what really surprised me was a lot of them who are homeless. When we asked them, so where do you sleep at night? They said, the block behind. They said, how come you sleep at the block behind? Say, we used to rent there, but we couldn't pay the rent. So what we do now is after midnight we go sleep along the corridor. It's as good as going home, because it's just outside the home that they used to have. So I found that to be quite sad. Anyway, things are improving. I hope. Yeah.
So let me see, unemployment. So in response to this DM's question that TOC should write articles to help use with regards to unemployment, financial management, housing, and other areas that will affect them. What's your thought about what kind of knowledge does youth in Singapore need to know when it comes to financial management or career planning?
I used to host a money radio show for 3 years plus every Tuesday morning for an hour. And this is the most common question that I used to get. Okay, Chinese radio show, right? Live one.
Yes.
So, arguably, what people need to know, if you have to choose just one, the most important financial planning, perspective or aspect that people need to know, is what I would call cash flow management. What I mean by cash flow management? See, a lot of people who come for financial counseling, of course, they have money problems, money issues, or money concerns. Most of the time is money not enough. The inflow not enough for the outflow.
Yep.
Okay. So for our experience doing thousands of these cases, there's one thing that they should do, ought to do, but most people don't do that. I'm going to tell you that now, right? You should get all your family members together on a regular basis, say every month. okay? And then every person in the family, including the children, the grandfather, everybody, okay, get together and try and figure out where the money is coming in every month and where the money is going out. And if you keep doing this over time, right, your life, from my experience, sure get better one. Because a lot of the time, the problem is the person who is cash strapped is, for various reasons, unable to communicate to his children or to his spouse or his parents why he is cash strapped. So they don't really know.
But
you know?
I find that that's a very generational thing.
Yeah.
It's just like I never had a honest talk with my parents when it comes to like
precisely, you see, yeah.
No, but the thing is, it's not that the kids are not willing, but you have to understand a lot of the parents, right? When it comes to like talking about income, becomes very sensitive.
Yeah, it's sensitive. That's why I say most people arguably should do this. I give you one analog. I give you one case. Right? Then you can understand. Many years ago, there was a guy who came to us for financial counseling, and he's a civil servant, no, okay, and his pay wasn't so bad, no, right, and then when he explained to us that, wow, he owe a lot of money, every month, the outflow exceed the inflows, and so as we began to ask him, then how you end up like this? He said, oh, I'm supporting my younger brother who's studying overseas.
Yep.
And he doesn't know that I don't have money, you see. Nor can I tell my parents that I don't have money. So I borrow money, right? So this is a classic example that, right, had the family got together on a regular basis and figure out where the money coming and going out, things may have gotten better, Maybe the brother will spend less money studying overseas, or the parents will realize, oh yeah, actually, right, it's a big burden for you. I didn't know, that you actually have to borrow money to support your. So it's important for family members to have a better understanding, like Terry says, however sensitive it may be, of the inflows and the outflows.
When it comes to this, right, I remember one particular case. I was covering this at the Court of Appeal stage. So let me see if you're seeing this. So this particular story is about. I'm not sure whether you have the details on that though. Yes. So this guy used this Mr. Teo, right? Is charged for murder, has been sentenced to death, and he the funny thing is, he was earning. Did he mention? No, he didn't mention.
A lot of money,
he was earning. No, he was initially earning a 5-figure. So that's why he was earning about 5-figure pay from a property, and that's why he have a certain level standard of living. And then when he lost his job as a property agent, he was then, I think if I'm not wrong, about $2,000. He was earning about $2,000 odd dollars as a sales agent in another company. And but the thing is, at the same time, right, his family was still spending the same amount.
Yeah, not knowing that his income had dropped a lot,
Yeah, not knowing that
it's very common, no?
Yeah, not knowing that his income dropped a lot, and which is why he went to he started to incur a lot of debts, and he according to him, he is saying that caused him to be stressed.
And then he killed his wife, right?
And daughter. And that's a sad, really sad thing.
So this is a classic example that if they had in some way been able to get the family members together regularly and figure out that he was earning much less, and then this may not have happened.
Why I pointed that is, sometimes the person don't care.
Who don't care?
The person who is not bringing the money don't care.
Okay lah.
You get me?
Okay. Yeah. But then put this way if he doesn't know, maybe he will care a bit more I don't know.
I don't think so, because the thing is.
Okay, I give you an example Okay.
Yes.
You used to earn 5,000. Okay.
Yes.
Then for some reason your pay dropped to 2,000. Okay.
Yes.
Now your wife family expenses is 3,000. So every month you short 1,000, right?
Yes.
So you're borrowing money left, right, center, right? So why didn't you tell your wife, hey, hello, can try to cut the expense a bit, no? Because I don't have 5,000, I only have 3,000, no.
Yes.
But I have, when we do financial counseling, you come across so many cases, you know, right? It's, I would say, communication problem lah, right? Like Terry said, they don't care. I think if they know, maybe there's a chance that they may care, or they may care more or less.
Okay, that's a possibility.
Yeah, possibility. Yeah.
So DBM asking what time do we normally stream? So we
7:30 p.m.
Yes, we have been streaming live for the past couple of weeks, except for last week, on Wednesday 7:30. Normally we get some guests if it's to talk about certain issues and ask the experience from that person. So
Today guests cannot come, right?
No, it's not the guests today come, because today we are talking about the census.
Oh, okay.
Yes, census. There's no point.
Census, impossible to find a guest to talk about census.
Well, it's just pure data.
And
it's,
all numbers. Yeah.
It's all numbers. Okay, from to round off, what can you say of this year's census? What does it sell? Does it say that Singapore's getting better, Singapore's getting worse? What is the growing difficulties that people face?
My remarks will be this. When you look at the numbers, say, okay, the numbers are increasing, right?
No, what numbers are increasing?
No, all the numbers are increasing.
Right.
Income,
be specific.
Income is increasing. Okay, I've got people in one room flat also increasing. You know, basically it's all increasing. Okay, right. But you have to look at it from the perspective of overall the median is increasing. Okay, but once you dig into the chart, you say, hey, median is half the people. You know.
Yes.
What about this 167,000 people whose take-home pay is just over 2,000? What about this, 27,000 households whose take-home pay is like $600?
So you're talking about this.
Yeah. So
this.
You
this
cannot
chunk,
just look at the median and say, everybody is going up. Right? 20% is going up, median is going up, everybody is going up, so everything is fine.
What's the median again? It's about 38, right?
Sorry?
3,388, if I'm not wrong. I just recall. That's
4,388, you mean?
Yes.
Median citizen income. But this one is including employer CPF.
Yes.
So you take out the 37%. Is
no, it's not. This residents.
The resident one is what
so citizen is
4,388, is it? But this including employer.
Including CPF. Yes.
Before I lose my thought, Terry, let me answer your question.
Yes.
Okay. Now, arguably, everybody say, okay, the census, few hundred pages, right? Which is the most important number?
Yes.
Okay.
But
the news report will always focus on this one. The most important is what is the real increase in median income. Okay, and they'll tell you, the real increase in median income was in the last 10 years or 5 years was I don't remember the exact figure. I think it's 2% per annum. Okay.
Yes.
But here's where if you dig a bit further, then you realize part of the increase in income in the last 10 years was due to the increase in the CPF contribution rate.
Yes.
And CPF contribution rate does not help you in terms of your disposable income or your take-home pay. So I actually made an adjustment as to what is the median income increase, adjusting for the CPF increase.
Yes.
The result I came with was something like, I can't remember exactly, it's 1.9 or 1.7% per annum. So then you say, okay, is it a lot? Is it very little? Well, always look at the perspective of the numbers, if you ask me, from the perspective of a low-income household or low-income person. Right? Now, you look at the what you are seeing on the screen now, okay, which is per
household.
per household member, okay, right? You have below $500 per household member, right? So if your real increase a year is like 1.1 say 9%, okay, right?
Yes.
So if your household income is $1,000, right? That means every year your average increase is about $20 only. Correct or not? Right? Because 1.9% per annum over 10 years. So every year your real increase about $20. So you ask yourself, the whole household earn 1,000. That's including employer CPF. Take home pay is $600. And every year you are getting increase in disposable income of $20 a year. Very poor thing, right? Right? So don't just look at the median. Look at it from the perspective of a low-income household or low-income worker. Because 1.9%, let's say, real after adjusting for CPF contribute increase may look like okay lah for the median, because median earn 4,000 plus including CPF. But look at it from the perspective of a low-income household or low-income worker.
Actually,
1.9% of 4,000 plus is a world of difference from 1.9% of less than $1,000.
you know what is more interesting? Right? Now I kind of realize something. So okay, wait. So the resident income, right? So this include the citizens, right?
Yes.
Include the citizens, right? So this is sorry. So for the citizen, if you cannot see, you cannot see. So this is the median income.
Yes.
So
Half the people earn more than this, half the people earn less than
so
this.
the median income is this 4,535. Okay,
Yes.
so that's that. Let's remove this and go back to this. So we can see, right? This is 4,500, right? So
No, but this is household income. Just not
yes,
that one
yes,
is
yes, yes.
the
No,
individual income.
So that's the interesting thing, because I was calculating, right? Then the interesting thing here is this cut off line, right?
Yeah.
This is about 1 million household.
Yeah.
So this is 1 million household. This is 1 million.
Yeah.
So meaning 303 about 32 this side, right, earn above the median.
Yes.
This is your median.
Yeah.
So this is your household. This 332, right? These are the people. This is the number of household that earn above the median.
Right.
And then you have 1 million odd household, right, that earn below the median.
No lah, not so many lah.
Yeah.
Not 1 million lah.
1 million.
It's, wait lah. 100, 200,
Yes.
300, 400, maybe about 900,000
No, I
lah.
no, I calculated.
You calculated?
Yeah, it's about 1 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mean those the earn less than the median is 1 million of the 1.4 million you have
Yeah,
calculated?
the 1.3.
Okay, yeah. So it is another
So-
indication of inequality lah.
No, this shows you that it's not the medium does not tell you the full picture.
It's not the whole story.
Because the medium, the idea is 50% of Singapore population earn so that's the medium is the 50% of the resident and Singaporeans. The PRs and Singaporeans that earn that much.
Yeah.
But if you were to consider that this is you're talking about it's not, so the number of households is 100. So 1.37 million. By right, if you were to take in the proper calculation, that should be at the 700,000 mark.
And as you point out, what's more important is we need the breakdown of Singaporeans and PRs lah. Right? Because likely that the Singaporean is even lower than this.
Which the PRs actually should be.
You need to break down the Singaporean PR, because all these include PRs. And PRs generally earn more than citizens.
Correct. That's scary, isn't it?
Now, of course, and there are different ways to look at the numbers. And one very interesting one is to look at the amount of payout people getting monthly from CPF when they retire. Terry, you wrote an article on this one.
So
you look at that one, very pathetic. The people who are getting payout is very 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 low. The average
this is not the payout. What we did was this is the account.
How much they have in the CPF,
this is much people have in their account. So those people who are this you can't see. Let me go up. So this is those people who are 35. Which age group we want to see?
See the old one. Look at say 65 to 70.
65 to 70.
Yeah.
65 to 70. This. So you have those people below. This is the one that is below 20,000. So okay. So the minimum sum. Okay. So meaning this
Minimum
onwards.
sum is 100.
This onwards.
186,000 now.
Yeah,
full
correct.
minimum sum.
So you see this onwards, right? You see,
Yeah.
this onwards.
All these people don't have the full minimum sum.
Yes, correct. I spent quite some time to go and compile this. Yeah. It doesn't look good, basically.
Because I remember you wrote an article, the average payout from 65 for those who were getting CPF payout was something like only $250 a month or something, yeah. And the older ones actually getting less, yeah. And also I remember you calculated roughly about 1 in 2 Singaporeans who are over 65 actually not getting any payouts from CPF at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you gel the numbers together, you say, okay, when they are before retire, they work, the income is low, okay, then the expenses is high. We are the fourth most expensive city in the world. Then when they retire, the payout is so low. Wow, so life can be hard if you are lower income in Singapore lah. I mean, you just look at the number of cleaners, laborers and related workers in Singapore. There are 149,000 of them.
So the thing is, we
this is the one.
So we know that those people who have okay. So this is the figure that was given by MOM.
Yeah.
That out of 116,000 members from this band, you have $450
average payout,
and so on and so forth. So you can see the people who are older tend to have lesser.
Yeah.
So and if you were to consider the number of people of that age group, right, there's a very significant number that does
Get nothing,
are not
zero
having
payout,
any
yeah.
payout.
More or less only 1 in 2 are getting some payout.
Correct.
And the payout is also very low.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, let me I have started maybe about 2-3 years ago. I started writing a post called Growing Old in Singapore, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. What I do is, when I come across an elderly person, a cleaner or somebody in the white deck relaxing there, then I will engage them. I talk to them.
Yes.
Okay, then I write their story lah. So like I was in a coffee shop in the Ang Mo Kio. So I talked to the cleaner who came to clean the table, and I talked to him, and then he told me, he's now, if I remember correctly, he's like 70 years old, 70 plus or something, So he tells me, in the morning he works in Bishan Town Council as a town council cleaner.
Yes.
Okay. He gets about $9 an hour or something.
Yes.
Okay. Then in the evening, for 5 hours, he come to this coffee shop to work as a coffee shop cleaner, and the pay is even less.
Yeah.
He say it's like maybe $8 an hour.
Yeah.
And what shocked me was he told me, I've been doing this since 1980. That means he's been a cleaner for 40 years,
Correct.
Right. So then I asked him, I said, what were you doing before you became a cleaner? He said, I was a contractor.
Yes.
And then my business failed.
Yes.
Right. So I end up as a cleaner lah, right? So then he says, and the best part was, this guy spoke perfect Queen's English,
Yes.
So I said, wow, your spoken English is perfect.
Yes.
So he said, I used to mix with the Masale, with the British people when I was young. That's why I talk like them lah. Then he starts reminiscing. He tells me, say, I remember when I was young, I used to go to Carriage Bar to sing, I was a very good singer, right? And then he tells me, so I do this like every week. I try to talk to one person, and I've gone to part 4. The latest part 4, which I did just a few days ago, I met a 74-year-old lady, okay, who told me, in the morning she worked part-time as a office cleaner, about $9 an hour. In the evening she worked part-time as a cleaner in a fast food restaurant, also about $9 an hour. And then in between, where she can, ad hoc basis, she tried to go to people's house to do chores or cleaning, and that one she gets about $10 to $15 an hour. So I said, wow, you're very hardworking. I said, so I asked her, I said, why you work so hard? She said, oh, if I don't, I'll be very bored. No? I personally, I must say, since I started doing this growing old in Singapore, right, it has very reflective for me, if I may use the word, that as I talk to old people and they share with me their life stories, then I also reflect on my own. I'm 67 years old, right? Okay. I my nightmare is joking lah. My nightmare is I don't want to wake up one day and become like these people that I talk to, right, growing old in Singapore. Can you imagine, right? Of the 149,000 cleaners, laborers, and related workers, if I remember correctly, almost something like 50,000 or more than 1/3 of them are age 55 and above or something there, right? So it is very sad for me every day to see so many elderly people working for so little money. Yes. I wrote something very funny yesterday, I think. Somebody asked me, hey, Leong Sze Hian, are there any jobs that pay less than cleaner or not? I said, very good question. So I went to search the MOM, wages benchmarking tool. They have this benchmarking tool, you can go and see. Oh yeah, I found there's one job actually pay less than cleaner one. Cleaner now minimum basic pay is $1,236. By 1st July, in a few days time, it'll be increased to 1,314. And beyond that, every year increase until I think 6 years later will be like 2004. Okay? So I found it like forklift truck driver. The basic pay is only 1,190 or something. That means take home pay after CPF plus only.
Let's not be like, how to say, hook-winged by all this. The cleaner pay 2,007, right? That applies 2,400, right?
In 6 years time,
No. Even if you say 6 years time, right? That is referring to supervisor. You go and read the thing. That is referring to a supervisor.
Okay. So the ordinary cleaner is not going to get that
about
much.
1,007.
Okay.
1,007. Because the thing here is, right, a cleaner is given this much. If I remember seeing on a poster for the McDonald's hiring for full-time staff, meaning that you cover all expenses. This is 1,007 at this point. So for cleaner, for let's say in the hawker or whatever, you would definitely expect it to be lesser because this is all about market rate. Yeah. So
you agree we need a minimum wage, right?
Okay, I think to close off, right? I want to put one point that a lot of people and which covers. Is related to what we have covered, or let's say on the CPF and also minimum wage. You see, the people of different occupation, they earn different amount because people see different value in the job. Whether it's a cleaner, whether is it a welder, whether it's a carpenter, whether this person is a lawyer, doctor, all of them, their job have different purpose in the society. So we do not put a so-called this is more important than the other one. However, there's a monetary value on that because people think it's worth it to pay for this. And the problem with our current system is that we expect people to be responsible for their retirement. So we say, okay, you save enough. You must save enough in order to have enough in this nest in your CPF so that you will have enough for your pension. So the thing is, people are being asked, why do you not take up certain job? Is it because you look down on this job, or is it because that? I think that is ridiculous when people say that, because people, Singaporeans particularly, are pragmatic lot. They are not looking at, okay, how is this undignified or whatever. If you start paying dishwashers 5,000 a month, you see how there will be a huge queue of people queuing for that.
Yeah.
The problem here is the low rug, I wouldn't say low rug, the low skill job tier in Singapore that many would want would be qualified for, because most of the seniors, right, are the come out from a more low educated system. It's not that they don't want to or they are not capable. It's just that in that time of age, secondary is already considered as a highly educated lot. Like my father, my father is only a secondary educated. So the point here is we are putting pressure on the seniors and all those people who are in the mid age going to retire, right? Saying that you have to save up yourself.
How to save the pay so low?
Yeah, and when you have the pay so low, you have to consider
Yeah.
how can you expect these people to save up, and this luckily for them, most of them have already purchased their flat. Luckily for them, most of them of their age, 40, 50, they have already purchased a flat. Unless you're talking about these are people going for second marriages, that's another thing. But for the people who have yet purchased a flat and are finding hard to climb this social ladder where they are still they're basically having difficulty finding a job that can pay well and they could save while at the same time paying for, and which is why they have there's a sudden reliance on the gig industry, because the gig industry pays much better than the full-time job.
Yeah. Recently there was someone who say encourage young people to become cleaner or something in the news.
Was it?
Yeah.
But how would that help? To encourage young citizens to go for this type of job at a very young age, right? Unless there is a minimum wage in the first place.
Yeah.
So everyone starts off at the equal ground. So at least we know that even though you go for this type of job, it's covered. So covered in the sense that I'm very sure that with this pay, you're able to pay for your necessities and still have enough for certain luxury or save. You cannot be that this amount, right, is left for market to decide, especially when you have these hordes of cheap foreign labor coming in. And it's no fault of the foreigners coming in. And frankly, if they given the choice, right, they would jolly well be happy to go for like places like Japan, New Zealand, Australia, if they could. But the thing is, they can't. It's only Singapore having such a liberal.
I mean,
work.
a lot of my foreign, Terry, what you have said is so important. That we have so many people earning so little and struggling, even when they are so old. Right?
Yeah.
So let me. Anyway, 9:33 already. So let me give you my ending remarks.
Yes.
Okay. We need to debunk the myth that there are jobs that Singaporeans don't want to do.
Yes.
Okay. And I give you an example how to debunk this myth. You look at cleaners, laborers, and related workers.
Yes.
Okay. There are a lot of unemployed cleaners, laborers, and related workers. And if you look at the job vacancies, there are a few thousand job vacancies for cleaners, laborers, and related workers. So it doesn't make sense, right? If it's a job that
People
shun, why would there be so many who are cleaners and laborers who become unemployed? And I tell you, the reason is simple. They lost their jobs. And they cannot find a similar job with the kind of pay or work conditions that they had when they lost it. So it's not that they don't want to, they don't want to work, right? The cleaner, maybe he has worked for a very long time. So his pay is, say, 1,008 or something, okay? And then now, right, the job vacancy says, job vacancy, nobody want, that means Singapore don't want to work. No. It's because this poor guy who used to get 1,008 working for 20, 30 years, senior cleaner, now can he find a job vacancy cleaner that pays him $1,236, which is the minimum now. So it's not that people don't want to work, right? So that's my ending remarks.
Correct.
Terry, final word from you.
I actually know. That was my that was my final word. So, does the audience have any questions that we would like for us to answer? Any burning questions? If not, we would close off the session here today. No.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Yes. So good night,
I'm very
everybody.
happy tonight because finally we can go have supper already because circuit breaker over already.
Oh yeah.
2 person can eat, huh?
2 person, yes. 2 person can eat, yes.
Okay, good night, everybody. Bye bye.
Yes. Wait. Yeah. But So okay, last thing for DBM's question: if there's a minimum wage, teenagers don't mind to be cleaners and warehouse, but still, it's the same as what I previously said. It's always best if we were to refer to the developed countries as an example. People in their teens should be encouraged to take up high skill work, meaning they to go along the line of high skill work, so they could join a particular profession as interns, as people who are paid low, but they are given access to high skill learning, high value adding talents. So in the long run, eventually they'll come to a point where they can break through this ceiling and then be able to earn a higher income. And which is why young folks in the 20s 30s should not immediately jump from graduate to become a Grab driver or private hire, because you are going to be stuck there for 5, 10, 20 years, because you are so comfortable with the income that you can't find any similar in the industry, or let's say or in your profession. It's very likely that when you go into the work industry, your pay would be suppressed because you don't have the experience. And for the private hires, immediately you go in, right, so long you know how to drive, you would be able to get a higher income than your peers. But that should not be the driving force for you to join the profession. It's going to be very, very disruptive to a country's economy when this whole cohort of youngsters, right, join the gig industry. So who's going to take over the high skill, the replacement of the high skilled professions? Then there's something that the ministers, especially like the Minister of Trade and Industry and Ministry of Education should be concerned about. That you have hordes of people going to the private hires of the gig industry because they are paying better money. And then who's going to take over? You cannot have in your industry, the various industry, rely on foreign labor. As this pandemic shows us, the disadvantage, or I would say the risk of over-dependent on foreign labor, because we have no control over our borders, we have no control over how the country is run if we are excessively reliant on foreign labor.
I agree with you, Terry, 100%. Okay, let me end by giving you what I would say is the statistical obstacle to the problem that Terry has just described to you.
Yes.
In September last year,
Yes.
it was disclosed that 58% of all PMETs are non-Singaporean. You go think about this number, okay? Right, disclosed in September last year, 58% of PMETs are non-Singaporean. Thank you. Good night.
For Claire, it's about 1.5 million for minister pay. M4, you were not wrong. Yes. Okay, good night, everyone. We'll see you next week, Wednesday.
7:30 p.m.
We haven't confirmed which guest we are getting, but yes, it will be 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday.